Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we'll talk about error handling and macros with easy to understand code examples. First we'll talk about error handling in Rust. As you are aware by now, there is no exception in Rust. So no spaghetti try-catch blocks polluting your codebase. But the question arises how we can handle the errors. So you can handle errors in Rust in three ways. First, by calling panic to crash the program for non-recoverable errors. Second, by using option types. Third, by using result types. We'll explore one by one in these video tutorials. Calling panic macro will crash the program. In the right hand side you can see the thread main panicked with the message whatever we supplied. X is an option type which is an enum with two possible value. One is for sum with payload and another one is none. Using pattern matching, we can handle both the possible case for X. Because X contains payload 7, so this first line is getting printed. If you don't like the verbose match syntax, you can use much simpler syntax using unwrap. Unwrap will extract the payload from option, in this case it is 5. And it will panic if X is none. Now let's store this X as a none. Then if you can see this, this particular line unwrap, here it is getting printed X equal to none in this case. And because of unwrap it panic with option unwrap. Instead of unwrap you can use expect. Expect will work very similar to unwrap, but it will allow to print custom messages in case of panics. See, if you can see this at this line, the thread main panicked at X is equal to none. So it allows us an opportunity to give the custom message to make error code more friendly. Now let's see a simpler version of doing error handling instead of unwrap and accept. Add1 is a simple function which takes option as an argument and return types as well. The most important thing to note here is the question mark symbol after X. It will behave similar to unwrap and accept. But the important thing to note is that it is not going to panic. So your program won't be crashed if you use question mark. Rather, it is going to propagate the none to the calling function. That is the reason whenever you use question mark along with option input arguments, you must have to use return type as well. So if your X is sum 5, this is panic. So if you have X is equal to with some data payload sum with 5, then the add1 will return some valid value, sum 6. But if X equal to none, So it will, instead of panic, instead of crashing the program, it will return none. So you will get an opportunity to handle it using pattern matching. In the previous example, we have discussed option enum type. Now we'll explore result enum type with some example. Here we are using one string literal, and we can call a parse function. This parse will going to return a result type which contain two possible values, OK and error. Both comes with payload. And in the parse, you can specify the type over here or here, whichever is you are feeling comfortable with. Because we are trying to parse to I32 and this is string, so in this case it will throw a parseInt error. Let's see how we can handle it. So we can use pattern matching and match keyword to handle both success and error case. If we are passing 5 as value, then this OK will be printed. If we are passing some kind of error value which can't be passed to integer, so we are getting some errors. Invalid digit found in string. But this is not panicked or program is not crashed because we handle both the scenarios. Like in case of option, we can use unwrap to extract the success value in result. In this particular line, this will panic if result contains error because it is unable to pass a string to an integer and the method got crashed with a detailed error message. So if you pass the success values, then it is able to extract the 12 out of this result and store into the y. So y equal to 12 is getting printed. So instead of unwrap, we can use question mark. And question mark will propagate the error in case of an error path. But in this case, it is showing some, once you define a question mark, it will complain because it needs to, it is suggesting that we should declare a return type in our main program. So in this case, we need to add result as a return type. And also we need to return void wrapping with OK. Because if it is success, main we are returning nothing or void. But if it is failed, it will throw and parseInt error. So because hello is a error, so this time it is returning parseInt error. This case is simple. We have only one error path and we know that it is returning parseInt error. But as the program may send different error types at different point of execution, so how we can handle it? So we need to handle in a generic way by providing some generic error handling mechanism so that we can cater for the different kind of error types. So now let's optimize the code. Here we are using three concepts: box, din, and error. In this case, box is a smart pointer pointing to heap allocated memory, which is used to store any type which is implemented error trait. And this error is error trait. And DIN error is a concept known as dynamic dispatch. It is used to hold different error at runtime. So instead of parse int error, if your program throws any other different error type like parse float error or something else, so this is sufficient to catch all kind of errors and display in this format. Now let's discuss macros. It is an unrelated topic from error handling, but it is quite powerful concept inside Rust. Your first hello world example, you are using the macro. Println is the first example of a macro usage. Exclamation mark after println means to denote a macro. It is different from a normal function call. Now let's create our own first macro. Using macro rules, we can create our own custom hello macro. Macro rules with exclamation mark is itself a syntax extension, meaning it is not part of the Rust syntax. And this is our macro name. And if you see the signature, it doesn't take any input arguments. In compile time, it is expanded to 2 println statement. Instead of string substitution, Rust macros are expanded into abstract syntax trees, which gives more flexibility into handling the macros expansion. Call hello macro like a normal function with an exclamation mark. And hello friends, how are you is getting printed. Here we have created another macro, create function, which takes one argument, name, with type indent. Ident is a fragment specifiers, which is a meta variable that denotes the type of argument. Ident has a special meaning. You can pass valid function or variable names as token. And we are using here as a function name identifier, and we are printing this in a string format. In this case, hi is not a string. It is an identifier, a valid function name. We can call hi as a normal function, and this output is creating function hi is getting printed. Now let's create our third and final macro for today. This is the print expression is our macro name in this case. So we'll cover 2 more examples. In this macro, the type of argument is expression, and we are going to pass any expression like 2 plus 3, any multiplied numbers, or any if-else block as well. So if you do print expression 10 plus 20, so in this stringify, this 10 plus 20 will be printed. But if you try to access $E, then the evaluated output will be printed here as 30. So here we are calling a find max macro. We are passing any number of arguments. The difference between a normal function and this macro is that in this macro we can pass variable number of arguments. And the first one, this particular statement is a base case. If you are passing one argument, you are returning that one result only. And this plus in this argument list to indicate that an argument may repeat at least once. And this part will match one or more expression separated by comma. And we are calling this find max again and again recursively. And you are using standard function max to calculate the number, maximum number. In this case, our output is 5. So about the macro, I just touched the surface of it. Similar to indent, expression, and we've seen this approach. There are so many different keywords what you can use to create your macro rules. And this is known as declarative macros. You have like other procedural macros as well, and attributes macro. So I'll create a more dedicated video to go through different uses of macros. But today I just wanted to give you a feel about the macro uses and how powerful it is. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day ahead. Bye bye.